Good afternoon and welcome back to Brapcast. Today we are here with Don Morin representing Sunday Morning Motors up here in Minnesota. How are you doing today, Don?
I'm doing good, Ashley.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on with us today. We'll just get started right down the list of questions. What is your name and what is your position over at Sunday Morning Motors?
My name is Don, and I am co-owner of a vintage moped company, one of the few in the U.S. My partner, Shelley, and I have been doing this since approximately 2011, so we're about our 7th year.
Yeah, you guys have been around a while.
Yep.
Where are you guys located?
We're located out in Becker. We have a storefront out there, and then we run a shop out of our home that serves as a repair shop.
Very cool. I have yet to make it out there myself, but it's between Minneapolis and St. Cloud, I believe.
That's correct, right off of Highway 10.
Very nice. A very good spot to open a place.
Yep.
What made you want to open up a moped shop?
We actually have been restoring vintage European motorcycles for many years. We used to have a large collection of Taco motorcycles, and that were fully restored. And we got into mopeds actually by accident. We were looking for a early springtime project just to carry us over for a few weeks. And we came across the moped, and that's kind of where it all started. We just kind of fell in love with the bikes and the people that became our customers.
That's awesome. So you said you just randomly came across one day. Is that how you decided to open a shop, or was the shop open before that?
No, we opened up the shop. We ran out of our house for a couple of years, and then we weren't able to accommodate customers and stuff no longer at our home. So we opened up a physical location, and we use that to ship parts and to store bikes. We keep an inventory of about 100 bikes at any one time. Most of our business is national. And international. Our bikes have gone not just across the U.S. in every corner, but our bikes go back overseas, back to Europe, where a lot of them originated.
I know there's a lot of people who wish they could outgrow their home shop. That's really cool that it happens so organically like that. And I'm glad to hear some of these bikes are making it back to Europe where they started.
Yeah, the bikes that were exported to the U.S., most of them, not all of them, but most of them were significantly different. They had different features on them to meet the stringent Department of Transportation regulations and standards. And so the European models would not work, so they had to adapt them, and then as they started importing, they actually started creating U.S. models that were standalone from the European models. So those are the bikes that the European collectors can't get their hands on, and so we kind of do a lot of facilitating of them.
I see. Do you guys have a specialty, a certain type of bike you work on or prefer to work on?
The bikes we mainly work on are Pooks, but we do take on most we stay away from most Italian bikes, but pretty much anything else. But by far the number one bike we work on is Pook.
What do you guys have in the shop right now that you're excited about?
There's not most of our bikes are on. We do consignment type work. Where not consignment, but they're customers are commissioned. I'm sorry, they're commissioned bikes. So the customer's contacts is usually about a 6-month backlog, and then we do full-on restoration, customizing, whatever anybody wants. And that's mainly what we're known for. We do full paint graphics. upholstery. Basically, when the bikes arrive to their destination, they're like getting a crated bike from 1977, only usually modified. So that's the majority of our business. A lot of our customers are affluent, and it's not uncommon when we deliver a bike to have a Lamborghini or a Ferrari sitting in the garage. A lot of these bikes were things our customers used to dream about when they were kids before they made it in life. So they come back to us to try to recreate that, and that's where that's our specialty.
The image of a Maxi sitting next to a Beamer or a Lambo is a little idiosyncronous.
It is.
But it's very cool that you're able to get that clientele.
Yeah, I'll give you a little story here. There's a place called the Autoplex down in Chanhassen. It's a well-known place in or outside of Minneapolis that caters. It's kind of like a airport hangar, but for exotic cars. And this place is beautifully laid out, and there's exotic cars everywhere. And on the one Sunday every month, they open up the place, and so outsiders come in and go look at the cars. One of our customers had purchased a couple of bikes from us. One was a three-wheel tri-rad Pook, and the other one was a fully restored Maxi. And when the Sunday came along and all the customers were coming around, or all the people, the spectators were walking around looking at all the fancy cars, there was a tri-rad sitting next to the $200,000 Lamborghini, and there wasn't anybody looking at the Lamborghini. They were all affixed on the Pook Moped, the tri-rad.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, so...
Usually the weird stuff gets more attention.
Yep, that's correct.
I drive vintage Corvairs, and
sure.
My rusty old van will be twice as popular as the minted out Impala it's sitting next to and getting dirty.
We often, we were in Wayzata, which is another highly affluent area, and we happened to be just taking a couple of bikes that we had restored on a ride, and outside on the street were all these Ferraris and Porsches lined up, and there was a crowd of people standing around a couple of mopeds that we had showed up on. Nobody was looking at the cars. So mopeds are quite different, and they are more of a conversation piece than a lot of the things they see on the street, and maybe because that's reachable by a lot of people too.
Definitely.
These are things that,
What's your favorite project that you've done? Do you have anything crazy?
No, we don't have anything crazy. Our favorite bikes are the custom bikes, and we don't. Our bikes are we try to make them what a factory custom would look like if it came out of the original factory back in the 70s. If Pook or Thomas or Gorelli was going to create a custom bike, sport bike, this is what it would look like. This is what it would feel like. This is what it would smell like. And that's what we aim for. So we try to stick with. We have a couple of basic plans people can pick from, and then they can do modifications to that. But otherwise, we keep it what we know with what we know. The bikes are also all fully warranted, so we've got to be very careful not to overdo them. Because if you have a bike that you shipped to southern Florida and it breaks down, somehow we're still responsible to get that thing up and running. So luckily, so far, we haven't had too many issues with the breakdown. So
it is mopeds, though. So like you
That's
said,
correct.
You got to be careful. Have
That's
you
correct.
had any crazy requests that you've had to turn down, or?
Oh, we turn them down daily. There's only so much. We don't do Army Green. We don't do things that have been done a million times. We don't do brat bikes. If it doesn't fit our MO, our name is on it. We like to show off our work, and if it's something we'd be embarrassed by, we won't do it. It's not about money. We got plenty of work to keep us busy, so we kind of get fussy, not only with the bikes but with the customers. So. Most of the time we get contracted or commissioned by a customer, we like to get to know that customer pretty good before we get into any serious building, because we know we're going to have a relationship with them after that bike leaves our shop. And if their expectations are different than ours, there's going to be, there's going to be problems on both ends. So we just try to be realistic with what we're producing and who we're working with.
Classy builds only.
That's right. That's what we aim for.
So probably not like my builds. I've got a Motobecane with a 8-track player on it.
Those are the fun builds. There's nothing wrong with those. Those aren't what.
Those aren't the ones you park next to the Porsches.
Yeah, that's correct. Those are just different than what we aim for.
And I believe I've seen some of your builds around, and yeah, it looks like somebody took it right off the showroom floor, stuck it in a plastic bag, and pulled it out 40 years later.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. Yeah, thank you. That's what we try to do. It's we've got a lot of years of experience doing other things that kind of all relate to the mopeds, but we don't bite off more. We try not to bite off more than we can chew. We know our customers. We know the business. It's very easy to get too excited and try to expand and do all this stuff, and it'll only lead to disaster. So we kind of keep it confined, and we stick to what we know, and then it stays fun too. It doesn't become work.
If you're 6 months out, I'd say it's working for you pretty good.
It works pretty good for us. We don't complain about it. It's no one's ever going to get rich on working on or building mopeds, but it's a fun way to make a living sometimes.
It keeps you with your cans of beans, I'm sure.
Exactly. We get to travel a lot. We get to meet a lot of people, a lot of interesting people, and a lot of well-known people. And we keep a lot of them as we consider friends through the years. Some of them had came to us years ago and bought their first bike and didn't know nothing about them, and now they're actually people that we call for advice on certain issues because they've engulfed themselves in the moped world too.
You gotta let us know if somebody ever decides to ride their bike up onto the red carpet.
Okay, we can do that. You never know, though.
Right?
So,
with as popular as the ironically lame thing has become, I wouldn't doubt somebody's going to be throwing a Gorelli up onto the red carpet someday.
Probably not. I'm sure it'll happen. It's mopeds they trend up and down every day. The trend rate is kind of like it looks like a heartbeat if you look at it. And the popularity we can tell by we have multiple websites and we can see by the activity on one how what's going on out there. We use one as a gauge for everything. By the number of how much time is spent reading on a website or what bikes are being looked at. We use all that for leverage on our end just to know how to plan the next year. But it looks like a heartbeat. It goes, the popularity is high, and then it's like then it falls off. Everybody gets burnt out, and then a new group comes in. So I don't see it changing much in the next couple of years, but I can't say that it'll ever reach its heyday, like probably in 2013, which seems to be the best year, as far as activity goes.
I see. Have you guys had any extremely frustrating experiences or frustrating points?
Probably the biggest frustrating. It's really frustrating for us. We feel bad because we spent a lot of time building a bike or trying to take care of a customer, and it finds out it's not what they wanted. They were really interested in a piece of transportation or a scooter. They just wanted to be cool. And that's not what these bikes are about at all. They're not, if you need a piece of transportation, these are probably not your best route to go. You can find things cheaper and more reliable and more efficient. These are, it's kind of like having a little 2-seater sports car, but you don't want to drive it every day. you want it's something to work on, take pride in, to keep, pass on, ride with your buddies, but they're just outdated as far as reliable everyday transportation. So sometimes we get customers that we buy the bikes back and we feel bad because it just didn't work out for them. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be.
I see.
But that's the exception rather than the normal.
So if I wanted to come in and I had a blank check and I wanted to see the quintessential Sunday Morning Motors moped,
Yep.
What would you show me? What is your
you'd be looking
case?
at about, by the time we're done, you'd be looking close to $3,000, and you'd be riding away on a Pook Magnum custom top tank bike with a travel speed of about a reliable travel speed of about 50 miles an hour. But something that's also extremely reliable and tight and no flaws. So, but they do go up even higher than that. But that's just our normal our normal custom bike range.
Do you have one build you've done that you kind of put on a pedestal above all others?
We have the original one, which is still located in Minneapolis somewhere. It's called the Casper Bike. It was a white Magnum, but that one makes its rounds, and we hear about that one all the time. It gets spotted or whatever. In fact, the gentleman that owns it right now had just contacted us. He tracked us down and said, "We heard you were the builder of this, and we'd like some changes made to it." And so we'll be bringing that back to our shop, but we haven't seen it for a few years. But that was one of our first Magnum builds.
Very cool.
But it's still one of our favorite ones.
I'm sure that'll give you some invaluable metrics on how things hold up a few years down the line.
Absolutely.
Do you guys ride in your free time?
We try to, but unfortunately we don't get a lot of time because most of our riding is trying to tune and test bikes that we're building. So we do go on occasional rides, but not nearly as what we'd like to. Every once in a while we just kind of shut everything down and take a day and go riding, but we don't get to do that too often.
What kind of personal bikes do you have?
We actually ride Maxis, and we have a couple of Thomases. And then, be honest with you, we'll throw together if we need an extra bike or two. We'll just take whichever in the shop and throw it together for the day or whatever. But we don't ride any of the high end bikes. We just there's so many bikes and we just don't get time enough to do it. But one of these days we always talk about we're gonna build ourselves a couple of bikes and go do some sightseeing, but we just hasn't got to that point yet.
Haven't gotten there.
That's correct.
Where do you see you guys headed in the next 5 years or so?
I think it's going to stay pretty plateaued. I don't think it's going to go up anymore, but I don't really see it going down. The demographics, as long as they stay the way they are, the people, the type of customers, it should stay pretty flat. Our clientele is different than the vast majority of moped riders. But, I guess in the long run, everybody interacts. They all look at Moped Army and talk amongst themselves. But I think it's going to stay pretty flat for a while, which is good. It stays steady. We just don't want it to disappear.
Definitely. Is there anyone you wanted to shout out or anything you wanted to mention before we give it up?
Nope. We just appreciate all the local rider groups like in Minneapolis and the others in the general area and across the states, because those are the guys that kind of keep it all going. And without those riding groups, probably the popularity would disappear. So
it's almost free advertisement.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Don, so much for coming on today and chatting with me.
You bet, Ashley.
All right, you have a good afternoon, and I can't
Okay.
wait to see what else is coming out of the shop.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been the first episode of Season 2 of Brapcast. I'm your host, Ashley Ackley, and tonight we were joined by Don Morin with Sunday Morning Motors. Do you have a cruise shop or super rad moped you would like featured on our show? Tell us all about it on Facebook at Brapcast. Find our other episodes on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and the Google Play Store. Until next time, stay happy and stay brappy.